Love is not losing yourself, and boundaries are not rejection. Hey, everybody. I'm so sad because today is the last day of our series that we did on tough love, letting go when faith gets real. Today, we're going to be talking about loving well with healthy boundaries. So first of all, welcome back to Right Over Coffee. If you've been joining us this week, hey, I want to let you know, get your notes out and grab that pen. So that way, when there's questions, you guys can come back, pause it, write down the questions, and then write your answers. So that way you have kind of like a little guide for yourself. So if you've been with me throughout this whole series, already know that we've been sitting in some real places. I mean, stepping aside, letting God, letting go of control, which was really hard. And it's been a lot, right? So today we're closing this out with something that changes everything that we can actually live out. Love and boundaries. But not just the idea of it, the practice of it. Love is not losing yourself, and boundaries are not rejection. Let's sit in that for just a second, because a lot of us have been taught actually the absolute opposite. We've been taught that love means to say yes, be available, don't rock the boat, keep the peace, even if it costs you. And over time, we start to believe that love requires us to shrink, to adjust, to overextend ourselves, to ignore what's sitting right in our spirit. But that's not love. That's survival. And something that I learned is that survival will keep you in relationships that slowly drain you. And super hard. So if that's something that, you too struggle with, or you too have, kind of questioned that, then here's some questions for you. Number one, where have you been overgiving, calling it love? Great question. Where have you been showing up for everyone else, but not yourself? I've done that so many times. I overshare, overdo, over instead of dealing with myself. And when was the last time you actually asked yourself what you need? Not what they need, not what keeps things smooth, but what you need. Huge question, guys. Huge question. Because here's something I really want you to hear today. Here's something I really need you to hear. Your peace matters. Your voice matters. Your emotional health matters. And somewhere along the way, a lot of us were taught to ignore that, especially in men. They have to be the tough, the provider, the everything, and the men can't have a voice either. They can't choose to talk. They can't choose to show emotion or anything. So it's a different scenario for them. But as women, to put ourselves last and to be the bigger person or to just deal with it. Have you told yourself that? Have you told somebody else that? Because I've been guilty of that. And sometimes it's like, what do you do? But being the bigger person doesn't mean becoming the silent one. So let me repeat that. Being the bigger person doesn't mean silencing and to be silent. Okay? So questions for you guys. Where have you gone quiet? And when should you have shown up or spoken up? What have you been tolerating that's been weighing on you? I smile because that question I had to answer, and I still have my notes on that question from years ago because that was a really big one for me. And what are you afraid will happen if you finally say, this isn't okay for me? Because this is where fear shows up. I mean, you guys have been following this series. We talk a lot about fear because fear seems to be that one common denominator in all of it. Fear of losing the relationship, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being labeled too much. But let me clearly say this: you are not too much. You may have just had spaces that expected you to be less. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind." Not every culture calls love is healthy. And not everything labeled kindness is actually honoring. Galatians 6:5, "For each will have to bear his own load." That means you're not responsible of carrying everything for everyone, and they are not responsible for carrying everything for you. There is a healthy space in between. Huge. Boundaries are not punishment. They are clarity. They are saying, I care about you, but I also care about what's healthy for me. And that doesn't make you selfish. It makes you whole. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you whole. And please hear this again. Boundaries are not punishment. They're clarity. So, what relationship feels heavy right now? Sorry, journal moment. What part of the heaviness is coming from a lack of boundaries? What do you need to say that you've been holding back? Because the truth is, unspoken needs turn into silent resentment. And resentment will slowly change how you love. It infects every part of not only you, but in your relationships with others, whether it's your parents, your kids, your partner, your husband, your church friends, your circle of friends. It will infest. And I want to build your confidence here for just a second, guys, because setting a boundary isn't about them. It's about trusting yourself, trusting what you feel matters, trusting what you need is valid, trusting that you can stand in truth even if it's uncomfortable. Please know that, guys. So do you trust yourself to follow through on a boundary? Or do you set it and then backtrack when it gets uncomfortable? That's where growth happens, guys. Not just saying it, but in holding it. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God gave us a spirit not to fear, but of power and love and self-control." Power, love, self-control. That's the balance. Not fear, not silence, and not shrinking. So what would your life look like if your relationships had a healthy boundary? What would it feel like to show up without resentment? And what would it feel like to love without losing yourself? That's possible, friend. It's possible. It's not overnight, but it is a step by step. And if you've never done this before, it's going to feel uncomfortable at first. It truly will. If you've never opened a binder and wrote out your questions and then answer, it could feel uncomfortable. It can totally feel uncomfortable. And if you see me going here and there, it's because I'm landscaped and my camera's here and I keep looking here. So it's real and raw, people, real and raw. So again, if you've never done this before, it might feel uncomfortable at first. You might second guess yourself. You might feel guilt. But guilt doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it just means you're doing something different. Have we thought about that question before? Guilt doesn't always mean that you're doing something wrong. It just means you're doing something different. So, you don't have to choose between loving and honoring who you are. You don't have to lose yourself and keep a relationship God never asked you to. This has been Right Over Coffee, guys, where we sit in hard, speak truth, and walk through healing together. And if you're listening to this and sometimes you feel stirred up today or heavy, or maybe you're realizing you've been carrying more than you should, you don't have to do it alone. You can reach out to me, elizabethkgreen.com. Whether it's through coaching, a conversation, or just needing someone to sit with you in it, I'm here. And if this met you where you are today, share it with someone who might need it too. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks.